Maybe. Waiting for the green. There it is. Excellent connection.
Alrighty. Don't forget to send the link in the meeting room chat.
Yes. All right, I think we're ready.
So who's going to start us off?
Does this look right, Scurvy?
No.
Oh.
So the share button that's in the top right corner,
right,
it's that little arrow.
Yeah.
You might want to.
I should have known.
Might want to take that link down. That's that's something that's supposed to be only you know.
Okay.
So just delete that and then just send the other one. So let's see if
Me and my
you boomer, I zoomer. Okay, I see it. So I'm just gonna post the link to
I think
people.
It's that. I think.
Yep.
All right.
So I'm just gonna post the link before we get started.
And yeah, you guys can get going. Get started, because this general topic was your ideas.
That it was. So today,
actually, WiseSupremacy. You want to introduce yourself first?
Yes.
Yeah, I can do that. Just if archaeosophy is a boomer, I'm probably worse. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do here. I'm pretty sure you're clicking on the link here on YouTube and you're popping over there. I'm assuming.
Yep, that's for so that's for like chat, but also I wanted the link so I could share it with my following.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, just there is no WiseSupremacy YouTube channel, so I don't know if that's going to get in the way. There used to be. I guess that kind of goes into the introduction. Let's just say, been in the game for a little while. Just I'm new here, and I know myself and Archaeosophy have been talking over the last year or so about kind of doing what this is, a meeting of the minds, more or less. But life and work and just priorities and other things have gotten in the way, so I've kind of been in and out. But finally here, I'm like, hey, I might as well actually join in and finally start doing something, because we need to do something in the world. And I was actually watching the Real Monarchists problem video yesterday, and yeah, it resonated with me because I feel the same way about a lot of these different elitist monarchists who really just are content creators. And I know a lot of the sentiments going back and forth were about, we aren't really looking for fame and fortune. It's believing in the ideals of monarchy, an absolute monarchy, because it's the one thing in the world that needs to be there to fix everything, more or less. But me, yeah, I've been around for a while, probably the last 3-4 years of making videos and things on socio-political, geopolitical, and economic, topics. And I had a whole different brand before, which was mentioned in that video, the whole Reality Bomb channel. But that got nuked by YouTube along with everything else because I spoke out, I guess, a little too harshly against the rainbow cult. And yeah, I had to move over to Rumble and then kind of reestablish everything. And that's one of the reasons for me being kind of MIA for a while, other than just family stuff. And my profession sends me all over the place.
I see.
Yeah, been in the game for a bit. Well, I mean, I think a lot of us, specifically, I mean, if most of us are from the West, and specifically like the US or Canada or something, have all been a bit disillusioned with the current systems. And I think that's one of the reasons why, at least for me, I started looking around for different different ways of being, and I ran across Spoon. Obviously, I think most of us did. Yeah, I mean, like y'all were talking about in that video, he'll point you in the right direction, but he won't actually bring you anywhere, right? And you're like, all right, well, monarchy sounds good. And then I liken it back to like my own life and family. I got 4 kids running around, you know. And at the end of the day, what dad says goes. And then you look at like governance models like monarchy or versus like democracy or something. Like you would never let a community raise your kid with all these different ideas, different ways of being, levels of care. Why the hell would you allow a government to be run the same way? You know, so it kind of went back and forth and been doing a lot more deep dives into everything. And finally, like I said, decided to jump on board because we need to do something, even if it's an uphill battle, even if it never happens in our lifetimes. This is the fight, you know, a return to sanity, which is one of the whole things I like to say on my Rumble channel is that's the entire point of this, you know, is to return us to a place of sanity and I wouldn't say grace, but um, do away with a lot of the degeneracy and decadent nonsense that these systems have brought in place. Right. And I guess that kind of goes into the topic of this podcast, which I've never done one of these before, being like feminists born and the degeneracy that's come from, these different systems. But yeah, anyway, let's just kind of sum it up. Been around for a while, been doing this for a bit, but finally here. So I know I kind of pissed off Archaeosophy a little bit. So like he and I were going back and forth for a while. And
You did?
if I'm ever gone, I don't know. You were going back and forth, and we were talking about it for a bit, and
Oh.
trying to get everybody on board.
Oh.
But yeah, if I'm ever MIA, it's not a lack of care or being lazy. It's just I probably got pulled away for work or some family thing. So I'll try to be here as much as I can for these things. 'Cause it's 4 in the morning over here, so I'm usually up around
Oh,
stuff. So it kind of works.
where are you? If it's 4 in the morning.
Other side of the planet. I'll just say that.
I see. I
'Cause,
see.
Yeah, there's a lot of anonymity that has to be maintained by me for this, just based on my profession. As much as I would rather just be like full in the camera, talking about these things.
My profession, a baker. Actually, no, I'm a king of Tropicana County in Florida.
Hence the orange.
Well, I'm a VTuber, so with the
I got you.
territory comes lore, and I'm writing a whole book about it.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, I mean, I don't know what's more y'all want to know. Just yeah, been here for a bit. Trying to actually do something real. Not just be the next person that just spits out content for likes and follows and money. Like that, none of that matters in the end. I mean, reach matters. Like getting a following to be able to push for monarchy matters, but at the same time, if you're just getting a following just to have one and make money, then you're not really doing anything. If that makes sense. Anyway, that's me.
Yeah, that's basically what Spoon does.
Yeah,
he's just trying to make money, and I think monarchism is just his uniqueness. Like, this is what makes me stand out, as opposed to all the other content creators. But I don't think he actually gives a shit. And you and I were messaging each other before this stream here about him, and you came to this conclusion on your own. And I have found it interesting that kind of everyone's coming to this conclusion on their own. I was just the first one to speak out loud about it. But it's
about Spoon, my Yoshi.
Yes, about Spoon. And I just find it disappointing, like online, content creation, monarchism. People think of Spoon, and that's so detrimental to the brand, because he's almost consciously an obstacle to it. That's how I see it, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I can attest to that. Excuse me. I can attest to that with some of the things I've seen on Zitter as well. Since unfortunately, some of the threads I found myself in, like with Razorfish and other content creators and influencers in quotations, who are blatantly anti-democracy. Whenever any sort of slight is brought up to kind of poke fun at monarchists, Spoon is always brought up, or at the very least, it's always seemed to be implied that people who are for monarchy seem to be followers or acolytes of Spoon. And yeah, that has just been devastating to what we are trying to do.
Well, I think it's the monarchy itself, unfortunately, gets this. I'm trying to find the right word right now. The connotation, the negative connotation of being combative, being argumentative about everything, just to be argumentative, and I liken Spoon nowadays to kind of being like the Charlie Kirk of the right wing, right? He's not bringing anyone anywhere. He's maintaining the status quo, but he is trying to keep people kind of on the quote unquote right. If that makes sense, kind of like he's not actually pushing to change anything. He's just pushing to kind of keep things how they are and keep more people, maybe wake up more people to the monarchy, but not actually doing anything to push it. It's like all these conservatives and Charlie Kirk characters just trying to maintain the democratic system, quote unquote, but not actually fix anything. If that makes sense.
I will
Yeah,
say,
which is so.
When it comes to Spoon, I know he has a bit of a black pill mentality when it comes to trying to push monarchy, in the States. I guess for me, I'm like I actually do I'm actually even though I spurg out a lot on my streams, it's like I am serious about when I really start to get political. I am dead fucking serious about what I'm saying here. It's like I might end the commentary with a joke, but that doesn't make any of my statements jokes. Like I'm dead fucking serious about it. It's like this is the way forward, and if you don't see it my way, it's the highway for you, pal.
Which the funny thing is, I don't know if Scurvy, you ever caught that stream that Amalgamite had where she had Spoon on.
Yes, she
as a
had
guest.
my Oshi on. Yes, I am jealous.
Well, even then, he tried to talk her into monarchy, but as I noticed as he was doing so, he seems to approach it solely from the perspective of you should acknowledge monarchy as a more adequate system. I shouldn't say adequate, as the most solid foundation for a rule. Gosh darn, I'm slurring up all sorts of words today. But his arguments don't seem to go beyond that and into, okay, well, what can we do for monarchy? As opposed to just, here's why this is better. But it stops there, which I think, Archaeophagy, I'm pretty sure it was you who said this. I think you're right about this. It really comes down to, it makes him look smart. Which it does, because apparently requires, as you yourself have also said, Archaeophagy, either a high IQ, autism, or both to understand this. Apparently.
I wonder which one of us in here fulfills those qualities. I can't think.
Yeah, though I do have a question. I do have a question real quick before we get into the actual topic of the stream being, feminist degeneracy. Why supremacy? Maybe I'm mixing you up with someone else, so let me know if that's the case. But in one of Archaeophagy's videos, he talks about someone who tried getting a monarchist movement, I use that term loosely, going a couple years back.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I was actually...
he was formerly Reality Bomb. And he changed his brand.
Yeah, that got nuked.
I felt like
that was YouTube's
yeah,
fault, so.
I felt like I heard of that name before.
Yeah.
Well, I made some videos on monarchy and go ahead, sorry.
Okay. I was actually wondering if you had any more insights on that, since we've only just started trying to get this off the ground a couple months ago. Just wondering if you had any insights
a push for monarchy?
Yeah, just in general, just what are some things that we can learn from when you tried?
Well, I mean, I think part of it is just playing the long game and kind of coming up with like Archaeosophy here did, this actual group of people being brought together with the like-minded ideals of wanting to make monarchy a thing. I never really got that far. But I mean, I was reaching out trying to find different monarchists and be like, hey, you know, what's the plan? What are we doing? Um, but in reality, I mean, I think maybe that was the staging ground, but I think Archaeosophy really took it to a whole different level. But I mean,
I do my
specifically
best.
when you're on like YouTube and things, yeah, I think you're doing good. I mean, I'm here now, but you did good. This is great. This is actually fun because I don't really ever get to talk to other monarchists, at least in normal life, because for some reason it's considered this fringe thing, when in reality, the current systems we're dealing with, these governance models, are the fucking experiment. You know, if I can curse here, you know, like
Of course you
democracy and
can.
Marxist, yeah,
I
like
mean,
democracy
I
and
try not
Marxist,
to, but
yeah, I got you. But these systems are the experiment, and they're destroying everything, you know. But anyway. More or less just kind of talking about monarchy, like, hey, here's why it's better. Actually recorded a 14.5 minute audio for another episode I'm putting out on my channel and Rumble about why I'm a monarchist, why I want it to be cut and brought back. I just haven't put it out yet because I have to do a bunch of high production for my channel because I decided to not be simple and make it way more complicated than it needed to be. But it's more just, hey, kind of, I hate to bring up Spoon again, but bringing up how monarchy is better, comparing it to these current systems, why it's natural, and giving, analogous comparisons, like the family unit, like with my family, like I'm the dad, I have the wife, and they got the 4 kids. Like that is the simplest, earliest, easiest form of what a monarchical system could be. The parents are in charge, and then you have the kids. The same thing with like a normal government, but it's mostly just saying, hey, this system's better, here's why, and this is what we're trying to bring back. It's just, it's not a well, yeah, I mean that's kind of what it was. It kind of sounds boring and bland, but I think the more people are, I hate to use the word woken up to this or awakened to this, and they, especially like Westerners and Americans, because I think internally there's some sort of discontent with these models because they know there's something wrong. It seems to wake up a little bit more people and get them kind of more online with the monarchist mindset, and then eventually some of them start kind of tipping over the point and start becoming more like this, and then they start doing more research. It's like, the point though is that I think our job is to wake people up to this and then give them somewhere to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I I call it TBE, true believer energy. That's how I describe myself when it comes to monarchism. It is on my mind every single day because every single day I think, okay, we're all in all kinds of a mess, all kinds of messes, and this would eliminate 99% of it. So simple. And really
Oh yeah.
really the problem is brainwashing. Especially Americans, think that one person having all the power is automatically tyranny. And I try to, little by little, playing the long game, as you said, trying to tell people that's not how power works. Just because one person has all of it doesn't mean he's going to be tyrannical. Historically speaking, most of them were not. But it's,
Yeah, I mean, it's
yeah,
exactly how it is from like my family. Just sort of from an anecdotal thing, evidence. It's like, just because I have all the power in the family besides the wife doesn't mean I'm an asshole to the kids. And then you look at all of history, and I'm still working on that I don't want to call it manifesto because that word has negative connotations, but it's like 50
yeah.
pages
Well,
of,
so does monarchy and autocracy. So whatever.
yeah, pretty much. But like, yeah, I'm still working on that. I need to send that to you guys, or if you want it, it's kind of the quote unquote monarchist manifesto, which is like all my thoughts
Oh,
and arguments
absolutely.
on why it's better and how to bring it back. And I need to compile like the four other different documents I was writing with like a legitimate plan of how to bring this back within the current systems. Obviously, you'd have to fight with the powers that be, and that's one of the
Them.
big fight, pretty much. That's the big fight. But yeah, what Archaeopsis was saying is like true believer energy. Like this is what we believe in. This is what we're trying to bring back because we know it's a better system and how it would fix everything, right? And like, it goes back to like the policies of the king are going to be the beliefs of the king become the policies of the kingdom. If the king or the monarch in this case is a moral, ethical man, or the leader in this case, and they want to do away with like porn, and the degeneracy that brings, then that's a good thing. That solves that problem. Like, no, it's now outlawed. You don't get to do this anymore. You will return to a place of moral stability and no longer engage in degenerate behaviors. And people don't like that. Like, oh my God, it's freedom. It goes against freedom. Like, yeah, well, some things shouldn't be allowed. Some things shouldn't be allowed to be said. If that makes sense. Sorry, I'm kind of
Yeah.
ranting.
So
Yeah.
yeah, now that we're on the topic, two things. One is the king. Everything reflects on him, which is one of the reasons he wouldn't want this shit in his society. Like just everything's degenerate everywhere. He wouldn't want that. It makes him look bad. But when when people are left to their own devices, they also are detached. Just that by itself, inherently, they are detached from giving a shit about how this reflects on their society. They think, well, this makes me happy, so fuck the rest of you. So that's one reason that this stuff needs to go away, and why a king would not allow it. But the other thing I wanted to say, and this is we've been wanting to discuss this for a while, and one thing I keep telling Scurvy and Autist is that my opinion on the whole pornography subject is kind of nuanced. I'm against it for the most part. However, you look at a lot of statues, a lot of artwork in general, they're not exactly modest when they depict men or women. And I don't know if you guys watch What If Autist, but he said a few things in it was either his most recent video or the second most recent, but he was describing things that, hold on. Sorry, motorcyclist. Just
It's the
obnoxious.
mate suppression one, right? I was listening to that earlier at the gym today.
Yeah, and I'm sure you remember the part where he talked about what was it, nuns or something, and little boys.
Yes, that part. That was
Disturbing.
yes, that it was the stuff that the elites, the aristocracy, got up to. When it's supposed to be like a Catholic country or whatnot, is got a little weird, and that's kind of an understatement.
See, that just goes to show, though, that
Doesn't happen in Orthodoxy.
Oh, I was just gonna say that just goes to show that no matter the place, people, or religion, there's always going to be some people who will practice heinous things behind closed doors.
Well,
but that doesn't mean that we should sweep these things on the run just because it's not necessarily something we can do about it then. Because it's important that we have those societal incentives not to do so, since it does, at the very least, limit the scope and capacity of the matter.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that, but the point I was getting at was we think of like, if we install a king, everything's going to be modest. And that's, I try to be objective in all things. I try to be truthful in all things, even if it's not exactly as I want them to be. For the most part, monarchy does all the things I want it to, but unfortunately, this is not entirely one of them, because there was still plenty of degenerate stuff, and also just like I mean that thing with the nuns that What If Autist talked about, that's just plain wrong. I don't see a justification for that at all. I mean, I guess that qualifies as degeneracy, but like
Yeah.
the
I mean, if I could
statues,
chime in on that one,
the statues,
go
the
ahead. Sorry.
paintings, like name a famous painting besides the Mona Lisa that doesn't have nudity in it. So would it would it entirely go away? Not really. And also, I
I
also
think there's a
don't.
difference between celebrating the human form and, like what we would consider porn. Like Michelangelo's statue of David, right? That is definitely nude and lewd, but at the same time, you know, um, it's considered, classical art. At the same time, he's not doing anything remotely sexual, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
a lot of statues, like there's this one. In fact, I don't remember when this was made. It might have been in the 19th century, but there's this one statue I was thinking of where like the woman, like her dress is almost completely see-through. It's really impressive aesthetically, but like what is it depicting? It like she's basically naked, just wearing see-through clothing. It's impressive, but at the same time, like again, our system did not stop this from being made. I mean, again, I don't remember when it was made, but it's common. It was all over the place, men and women. I don't know exactly the laws regarding prostitution throughout medieval Europe, but it wasn't completely gone, is my point. And where do you draw the line? Especially with that nun stuff, and who knows what else we don't even know about. Is I'm not saying it's like pointless to resist it, but I'm not sure exactly where I stand. My all I know is like it wouldn't completely go away, even if we got the system we want, which is absolute monarchy. That's all I'm saying.
I get you. I get you. The thing is, I guess when it comes to that, like statues like that, oh man, it's actually kind of okay. Give me some more time to think on that, because I think it'll be worth it. I thought I had something. I guess not yet, at least.
But we do agree that, and I do believe that most monarchs would not want like OnlyFans and shit. This shit that we're seeing today, it certainly wouldn't be this bad. It would probably be bad in other ways for sure, but like I can't imagine OnlyFans.
So now that you mentioned that, I know that in terms of older societies, like they definitely liked beautiful things, right? And there is such a thing that I do have to acknowledge. There is such a thing as artistic nudity, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you like the way that you should be viewing those kinds of statues is not with lust, because that would also be disrespectful to the sculptor or the painter. Like that you mentioned the portrait with Adam reaching out, his finger nearly touching God's finger. Like that's not meant to be lustful. What it's supposed to be is something. It's actually supposed to be kind of something spiritual right there. Not maybe not in the way that some people would think, but
yeah, not lustful. Like I wasn't saying that it was all lustful. I'm saying people in the past, even before the Middle Ages, people in the past were still relatively loose when it came to modesty. Like modesty is really the way we think of it, it was actually more of a like early America kind of era thing. Because even you think of like Victorian era attire, you know, that's still like on women it showed a lot of cleavage, you know, like cultures regardless of the system or even the time period have always been in some way loose when it came to modesty. I think that it seems to me like the most modest time period in all of human history was like the 1930s through the 50s. I mean, even the 20s were not that great when it came to modesty. The 20s were pretty bad. But like 30s through 50s was kind of like, yeah, when you go swimming, just be completely covered in every way. I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint where I should stand on this because I don't like
Do you
any
know
of
the?
it. But like,
Do you know who
is it
invented the
realistic?
bikini?
A Jew?
Yes, correct. You're 100% correct on that. Oftentimes, though, the people who tried to, that group of people who try to destroy modesty in society, they tend to be rather kosher individuals. And that's also a common pattern you could see through many periods of history is when they start influencing stuff, that's when things start getting all sexually degenerate. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
think
When you
I think
notice, ooh,
now,
you're the bad guy.
yep. I know in terms of I guess what's been going on, especially as of late, in noticing the blatant sexual degeneracy. Um, it, it's so weird. We have such a weird view. It is like what if alt hist said in I think one of his other videos. It's like we have such a weird view when it comes to sex in regards to the fact that it's like, oh, on one hand, you can have just a bunch of whores on TikTok talk about how Chad reamed them out the other night. But then it's like, we also find it icky and weird at the same time. Like, you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've noticed that.
They're two completely contradictory ways of viewing sex.
Mm-hmm.
Really, a lot of our societal issues can be boiled down to just how contradictory a lot of how we view the world is. Like, for example, no matter which political or philosophical persuasion, most people tend to view people who don't agree with them as stupid. And yet we still believe voting is a valid means of choosing our leaders. Yeah, and actually we insist on it more than anything else. And I mean as a society, not us specifically. But we all insist that democracy voting is the most viable means of selecting our leaders, our governors. But we believe everyone who disagrees with us is a moron who shouldn't have a say.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's an interesting thing about our current situation because yeah, basically everything we do believe in contradicts other things we believe in. Like what's his name? NTG he goes by. He lives in Germany. He sometimes interacts with us on Twitter and on the server, but he's always been like even though he talks to us quite frequently, he's never quite been a monarchist per se until recently. I think he said because he and I had a slight argument. He has criticisms of monarchy, and he brought them up 1 or 2 days ago again, and I explained to him like how like he wants safety nets, like what if this happens, and medieval lords were like this, and how do you protect against that? And I'm just like, dude, unless you have power, there's no point in even talking about this because only power can contain power. That's all there is to this. Like pieces of paper don't do anything. Anyway, I explained to him.
And I would say, go ahead.
Like you live in Germany. The AfD got banned recently, did it not? The AFD, they're not even anti-democratic. They're not even far right, but they were labeled as far right anyway, and they were banned. Their leader is a lesbian. They were banned anyway. So, like, yeah, we believe in everyone has a voice and voting and all that shit. We believe it so strongly, unless you have the wrong opinions, in which case you should be silenced. Like, no wonder we're going downhill as a civilization. Like, it's just perpetual and increasing cognitive dissonance.
Yeah, I would ask
Yep.
those people or that sort of individual, like, well, what's the alternative? Do you want to keep doing the same bullshit? You want to keep, relying on all these lying politicians whose entire job is to be duplicitous? You're never going to have a perfect leader. You're never going to have a perfect system, including monarchy. And anyone who believes that monarchy is absolutely perfect and will solve everything is a bit delusional. Like we've been
Yeah.
talking about here, like degeneracy and women wanting to show off their bodies for attention and men wanting them to do it is never going to go away. I mean, it is the oldest profession in the world.
It's gonna
But I
happen,
mean, you can have some, yeah,
but you could at
it's
least
going to happen to some degree.
like criminalize it. At least show
Yeah,
something that you care about the like the future of society. That's ultimately what you're doing when you're punishing that kind of behavior. You're establishing a stand saying that no, we do not want this is not what our country should be. And we'll try our best to punish it and all sorts of loopholes the best we can. We actually care about the continuation of a prosperous society.
yeah, it's like
That's
the tolerance pipeline, you
yeah.
know. You start off with tolerating one thing and you keep tolerating the next thing, and now you get, you can go to like the rainbow cult. Now everybody goes from tolerating the relationships down to, hey, it's okay to go kitty diddle now. I'm like, no, it's just it's a slippery slope. You have to have some sort of boundary or standard somewhere. But I'd say if it's like an artistic depiction of the human body, like the Michelangelo and Da Vinci paintings and sculptures, those aren't inherently sexual. But if it becomes sexual, that could be the limiting factor. But you have to have laws put in place to say, no, 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 you're not going to depict any sexual act ever, unless it's in some sort of like educational format. Maybe that would be the limiting parameter. It really depends on who's in charge, and I guess you'd have to meet a certain standard, at least for these
Yep.
depictions. Kind of going back to the original point.
No doubt Jews are going to try to legalese their way out of it, but again, at least in my mind, in the kind of monarchy that I'm kind of pushing for, Orthodox Christian monarchy, yeah, we'd be sure to spot those loopholes, especially the ones involving shekel.
Yeah, the appeal to me, really the thing that made me become a monarchist in the first place was realizing it's the most stable system. Everyone wants perfect, but they want to keep democracy. Like, how's that for having two contradictory thoughts at the same time?
Yep.
Everyone wants perfect, and they won't give up democracy. But for me, like, what's the most important thing when it comes to governance, when it comes to politics, when it comes to just your nation existing? What's the most important thing? Stability. And you don't get
Oh,
stability
exactly.
when everyone's disagreeing with each other. You don't get stability when half the country hates the other half. You don't get stability with elections either. We worship elections like, this is when you cleanse the palate and you get rid of the people who shouldn't be there. But like, you just replace them with more bullshit. Because it takes a certain
Oh,
type of person to even want to be elected in the first place. Like, oh yeah, I'll participate in this popularity contest. Yeah, give me power by me just lying to you. Like,
that was
stability is what matters. Okay, I don't expect perfection among humans. I expect, at least aim for stability. What are you saying,
That's
Scurvy?
my primary argument for monarchy. It's the most stable system we've ever had. It's not perfect, and most of the monarchs throughout all of history, does anyone know their name? No, like kings like Leonidas and Xerxes because of the epic or horrible things they did. But does anyone know who came before or after them? Most likely not, because their reigns were quiet and stable. Unlike every fucking politician ever, we know all their names, we know everything they do, and everyone hates them. You know, they come in, they change or try to change things in 4 years, make money, and then get out, and then leave it worse for the next guy. There's no longevity, there's no stability. Just sorry, chiming in there.
There's also no identity with that
My
shit. Like when things change every 4 years, there's no identity with that either. Like, what does your country stand for? Well, for the next 4 years, we definitely want to trans the kids, and then a new guy comes in. Oh yeah, we're absolutely against that. Which the fuck is it?
Either way,
your nation is only defined. It only
Exactly.
has an identity in the first place every 4 years. I hate democracy so much.
either way, they're still sucking Israel's cock. That's the one thing that remains unchanged, especially when it comes to Republican politicians. They love Israel schlong like no one else.
my favorite example people like to bring up is whenever they try to disavow monarchy, is they bring up the Bible, or really scripture in general, where they list all these examples of all these different wicked kings and rulers. What they seem to forget or not realize about the scriptures is they're filled with the best and worst examples of people, those who follow God. And I don't know if wise supremacy, I don't know if you're a Christian or not, but something I thought I always find funny is they forget that it's about the best of people who follow God and the worst of people who don't. Hardly is it mentioned about any of the quiet times that occur between these events. To tie it back to what you guys are saying about, well, do we know all the kings and queens of all these between the ones that are famous, the notorious tyrants or conquerors? No, we don't. But yet we judge all of history off of these examples instead of the general, instead of how the world mostly was.
I mean, when you think about it, stories in general are about things going wrong. The only time humans pay attention to pretty much anything, especially when it regards the past or just fiction, is something went wrong. And it's now up to the main characters to fix it or something. Or this is how they lost. Or like it always revolves around something went wrong. But if history was just, yeah, everything was fine, then we wouldn't pay attention to history. There would be nothing to pay attention to. We obsess over the bad kings. This is my point. We obsess over the bad kings because they were bad kings, bad leaders in general. But if all the good ones we ignore because hardly anything went wrong. It's the way it should be. Like, we shouldn't have too many examples to pay attention to. I mean, when I think of a bad ruler, I think of just a few Roman emperors, and as far as like kings, just plain kings go, the only one I can think of off the top of my head, or actually two of them, is King John and Henry VIII. I'm sure I could think of more, but not very many. And I'm sure, in fact I know, there were more kings than that in England's history. But
That kind of goes back to human nature. And sorry if it's a little bit louder over here. I'm driving, but yeah, I mean, it goes back to human nature. We always focus on the negative because it's a survival aspect of humans. But at the same time, there's like the whole, everyone focuses on the bad things you do, but never the good. And if you do 99 things good and one thing bad, everyone remembers the bad thing. But that's not how we should be orientating ourselves on like history and governance and monarchy itself. And most people, like you said, focus on the negatives. And then these stories are always focused on the negatives and all these big conflicts. Are like, well, what about all the boring times between?
Yeah, it's funny. You driving kind of made me think of this analogy. Imagine, like you make it to wherever you're going. I think you're going to work. Like you're going to work or you're going home, and nothing happened. Like You got home just fine. Are you going to remember that drive? No. But you're certainly going to remember it if you get in a crash. So, yeah, it's an unfortunate thing about human nature. And you only amplify that. You put this aspect of human nature on steroids with democracy. This is the way everybody's wired, and now everyone is participating in the system. Great. Yeah, let's have an entire population of people fixated on the bad stuff all the time. Because with democracy, everyone has to be involved anyway. You have to vote. The system depends on it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I guess something else in terms of the whole pornography issue I wanted to discuss, that now that my brain is starting to get jogging again, it would easily have to be and I've gotten into arguments with people on Twitter before, and I've been saving this for so long, albeit I did mention it recently on my previous stream. It would be the fact that a lot of the libertarian types really don't understand that no, your ability to whack off to porn is not any sort of right. It just isn't. How is it a right for you to watch reprobate content online, and you have the fucking gall to say that your vice doesn't affect other people? Man, libertarians piss me off.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of what I call floating leftists. Maybe not so bad, but they have some right-wing ideas, but generally speaking, they float in between space of, it's like a raging bull versus a wall. The wall being the right, quote unquote, and the raging bull is the left. But if you're in between them, who's going to be directing you? Well, that's going to be the left. That's why I look at libertarians or centrists with such disdain, because all they do is help the left, and libertarians don't really help at all because they're in the middle trying to play both sides, and it's just like, all right, you have no principles, you have no morals, okay? You want weapons, but you also want porn. You want to be able to vote, but you also want people to have the freedom to do the most disgusting things imaginable to a point. It's like, all right, there are objective evils, there are objective bad things that cannot be tolerated no matter how much you believe in freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Like the rise of OnlyFans and all these different like Pornhub and all these different places, like these have had a horrible consequences for all of human culture, specifically in the West. It's like, but no, you should be able to do that. Why?
So I remember commenting on fellow VTuber Banana Juju's video. She's reacting to a video in regards to that. She has a pretty libertarian kind of view on this whole thing. Okay, she actually did. It seems like she did change the title of the video. It wasn't. I don't think it was the same thing last time. It's called "Big Brother YouTube is Watching You: Censorship Unhinged," and I replied. This is before the video. This is before she changed the title of the video. The thing is, Juju, censorship is not a black or white issue. We as a society need to have standards about what we tolerate and what we don't. The problem with people online making it a black or white issue is if you're on the everything is offensive bandwagon, you have an insurmountable task of trying to justify whether we should have no art and thereby no culture. If you're on the nothing should be censored bandwagon, you have the insurmountable task to justify a lot of horrible things that are absolutely indefensible. The Bible does a good job at outlining that. Sorry, just give me 1 second. And okay, I could keep reading. Tyranny is the deficiency of culture, and anarchy is the excess of culture. Your ability to whack it to the most degenerate things imaginable is not a right. The political dissent noticing, in parentheticals, that's happening on social media is absolutely right. In America, it falls under the First Amendment. Instead of talking about corn, focus on what the UK government is actually trying to silence, or who the credit card companies have been going after a long time. That's where you'll find the truth on this matter. And know this, us Christians have been and continue to be persecuted by Western governments for stuff like silently praying at certain clinics, or members of the Freedom Convoy's bank accounts being frozen for standing up to the tyrannical Canadian government. In the future, it will be worse. And I'm surprised I got a heart from Juju, but it's at least it shows that at least I learned it's I guess not all lolberts, but a lot of them.
The thing
Yeah.
people don't understand.
Us and like the centuries, if that makes sense.
Hold on, you're cutting out there for a little bit.
Oh, sorry. It's probably a bad area. My bad.
Ah, you're good. But at least the thing is, I guess I could talk about the Christian point of view on this. It's like, yeah, absolutely, some things should just not be made. Like a lot of the porn games that were taken down on Steam. I don't think there should be any porn games on Steam. Same with GOG or Itch. I could agree that the way that they did it, in trying to get rid of it, it's not the way I personally would have done it. I also know that the way that, I mean, it's one thing to remove it from being purchased. It's another thing to remove it from people's libraries, because then we get into like property rights, and that's a mess and a half.
I think we need to just I know how people are going to react to hearing me say this, but I think we need to just do away with laws, at least for the time being. For the first few years that a monarchy is ushered in, just forget about laws for a few years. And why is that? Well, because when the king, when he has all the power, he therefore has all the responsibility. Everything that happens to his people is a reflection of him, and it all comes back to him in some way. He has quite a bit of incentive to do a good job. And when people are so hung up, like Spoon actually made an entire video on this, surprisingly, of like just getting hung up in the details. Like, what did the law say this? Or the law says that. But what about this law over here? Or we should make a new law. Like, just fucking forget all that and just simplify it to
the Bible.
What does the king say? Well, yes, the Bible, of course, but Bible doesn't literally speak for itself. We have to read it, and we have to care what it says. But
and we go with what the church fathers have to say on it. I like that.
Well, as far as, I mean, it still comes down to policy. Like, who's making the policy? It's going to be the king.
Yeah, that's true.
Get rid of all laws just get rid of all laws to begin with, just for the sake of, restoring order and forgetting about rights this, rights that. Just get rid of all that. It doesn't matter. And anything you need to write down, fine, write it down. But for the most part, we know what's right, we know what's wrong. Should people be able to have their own property? Yes. So just simple. We start there. Don't forget, I also want to talk about abortion. So let's not be too hung up on this subject, but go ahead.
I guess in terms of a few other things too, like something that I like, a post that I found, and where I guess we could wrap up this by talking about OnlyFans. I have seen a lot of lolberts try to defend OnlyFans, and I'm just like, if you do that, you are just my enemy at that point. I want nothing to do with you, and I think you should die. But
can't blame
I
you.
know that's a little harsh coming from the Christian, but I need to get this out. I need to get this out of my system, or else I'll probably say something worse. But anyways, I see that they try to defend that shit, and I'm just like, okay, clearly you don't have society's best interest at heart. If so, can you fuck off from the conversation and let the adults in the room talk about these issues? clearly you're a dishonest little F slur to honestly discuss this. So please get out of the room, exit stage right, please, and thank you very much. But now, with all that said, I have a post from Orthodox Luigi. The owner of OnlyFans is one of the largest donors to AIPAC, meaning gooners and whores are putting money directly in the pockets of Israel. And have you guys heard the news of a certain whore who turned 18, and the moment she did, she immediately started an OnlyFans account?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I also did.
Please don't tell me
I
like
also did
who
some.
she is.
Oh, okay.
And made $1 million in 24 hours.
Jeez. Well, it's like what happened with that Bad Baby girl, the Catch Me Outside one. You know, that cringe. She did the same shit. Tried calling all her fans out for being a bunch of pedos. Like, you made an OnlyFans, you degenerate, and you get a bunch of creeps signing up for it and paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, you all suck.
Yep.
What is this is probably going to be a really stupid question, but what does that even mean? This I actually do want to explain to me. Like, what does cash me outside mean? Does it mean catch me outside? Like, let's go take this outside? Is that what it means?
Yes.
Okay.
But because she was trying to act like a fucking ghetto street thug, like, hey, cash me outside, and I think she still had braces in at the time. So, yeah, you know, it's so retarded. It really is.
The whole thing's just sad, really, and something I was trying to say a little while ago. Something that I don't think people understand. Are you guys familiar with the concept of agency?
Yes.
Okay, so by virtue of being human beings alive and in the world, we have agency. That much is clear. But there's a difference between having agency and not having a code of conduct by which to live in your society. And the problem that we keep having with the libertarians is that they seem to conflate that lack of standards with having that agency.
Yeah, they think agency is supposed to be slavery to your own instincts. In as a matter of fact, the whole reason why we have agency or free will, whatever you want to call it, is to glorify God. You could choose not to do that, but expect punishment if you decide not to. That's simple.
You know, when you think about it, all politics comes down to two options. Who are you putting first, yourself or others? And I know communists the most like to pretend that they put others first. Actually, everybody does. But communists especially think they are the most convinced, I think, of we care about other people. When in reality, the very core essence of egalitarianism is selfishness. It is entirely either usually you're a rich person who just wants to look good, so you espouse egalitarian bullshit just to look good, or if you really mean it, you know, usually rich people who speak of any sort of egalitarianism don't actually mean it. They are very selfish people just trying to look good. But if you truly do mean it, if you truly at your core, if you are a communist, it's envy. You want other people's shit. So when you think about it, the whole divide between like hierarchy and egalitarianism is really just selfish people versus altruistic people, truly, genuinely altruistic people. In democracy, you know, Democrats, lowercase d, don't try as hard to look like they're putting other people first. You know, they're a lot more inclined to admit, like, yeah, I'm looking out for myself as well. with my vote. You know, my say matters. But still, it's a form of egalitarianism. It's still, at the end of the day, you're looking out for yourself in some way. Altruism, what it really looks like in politics, is what works. That's the only question you care about answering. What works? What is the best thing for everybody? Truly. And you guys, I'm sure you guys know the phrase, like, how's it go?
I'd like to solve the puzzle.
No, don't solve the puzzle.
I'm not.
What's that phrase? When you're young, shit, brain fart.
It's like when you're. Is it like when you're young, you're you're a liberal,
if you're not,
if
you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart. If you're not a conservative, they say, when you're old, you have no brain. In essence, that's true, because most people, when they don't know anything, they start off egalitarian because they think that's what's best. But you need to learn over time, wait a minute, this is actually the problem. This is the problem. This is why we're not getting along with each other, trying to make everything equal when the universe is not equal. No two things in the universe are the same. They wouldn't be different things if they were the same.
I think you guys would like the latest episode I was recording. It's literally about that concept. Is the psychology of leftism. It's literally just about, at its basic, most fundamental level, it's the push for fairness that metastasizes into the cancer that we call like leftism. Right? The whole damn thing is like 15 minutes long, but yeah, it kind of goes back to what you're saying there. It's just like this. Hold on. Okay, do y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
But basically, it's like being a child and wishing money grew on trees so your parents don't have to work as much, and growing up and realizing, no, wait a minute, all these resources come from somewhere. And that's why unfortunately, mom in our day and age, mom and dad work, is to provide for the kids, for us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As long as you learn, and as you learn, you become more right-wing over time. And the more experiences you have, the more right-wing you become over time, for sure. Like, I became right-wing after I got divorced and had a child. Both of those things happened around the same time. And that just knocked me right out of the ballpark of leftism, which I had always belonged to. And I realized, holy shit, I've been wrong this entire time. Everything I've been trying to do, I've gone about everything the wrong way. As long as you learn.
How it felt.
But one more thing. When people don't learn, I think of like someone like Bill Maher. You're what, 70 now, and you still haven't learned? You're not a good person. That's the only way you don't learn, is if you're not a good person. Period. And don't even get me started on abortion. I could easily tie that into this.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, like, for me, like, in terms of politics, I would say I've been right wing a lot longer than I have been like left wing. But I will say I was libertarian for a long time, and I felt like I had something similar in learning. It's just like, oh my goodness, so if everybody is just so stupid, then there should be some sort of centralized authority that should be able to lead. A smart, capable, intelligent person should be the one leading, not this bureaucratic nonsense. And its people are just non-virtuous retards who try to justify everything under the sun under this bullshit idea of quote unquote freedom.
Freedom is just another form of egalitarianism when you think about it. It's yet another thing that's supposed to apply to everyone and apply to everyone equally. Just and people don't realize that, like especially the American quote unquote right, the conservatives, the Republicans, they think freedom means right wing. It's complete horseshit. And
And
there is no point. There is no point to equality of any kind if it does not result in equal results. Whether it's freedom, or whether it's like a classless society, or if it's voting, just whatever form of equality you approve of, it will always come back to, yeah, but does everyone have equal results? Well, then we got to make that happen. It always transitions to communism unless you stop it.
yep. Oh, something else I wanted to add as well. It's like I have encountered supposedly right-wing libertarians who try to justify abortion under that stupid argument of free bodily autonomy, but it's like this isn't but that's not your body we're talking about.
It's
It just
straight up
isn't.
murdering another person.
Mm-hmm.
What bothers me so much about the whole abortion topic, I mean, apart from the fact that it's murder, I mean, the justification that bothers me so much is exactly that. Like, with my body. Okay, first of all, you didn't conceive that child on your own. Okay, you weren't just going on a jog one day and then poof, you're pregnant. Okay, and second of all, that child is its own person. So that's two other people involved here, not just you carrying the child. But women, especially feminists, they really, really want people to think that, well, simply because I'm carrying the child, that means I should have total power over this child's life. Total power. When they couldn't have conceived on their own, and that is its own person. That's an individual growing inside of you. And also,
which totally isn't.
Sorry, real quick. Let me relate this back to monarchy. I didn't realize this till now. The people who say the most that, like, my body, my choice, the ones who shout that bullshit the most are also supposedly against tyranny the most. But I just think, like, well, aren't you feeding off of the system? Aren't you kind of dependent on the system? So shouldn't the system be able to just do whatever it wants to you? No? Well, then why can you do that to your baby? You know, we're all dependent on the system in some way, on the nation we come from, the land we come from. So should the people in power just be able to do whatever they want to us? No problem. Why is it okay for you to kill your child, but it's not okay for a ruler to do whatever they want to you? You're under them.
They can't answer that.
It doesn't make sense.
They can't answer that. Their whole thing is that they just want to feel good. Like they don't want to deal with any sort of repercussions for any sort of behavior that they do, and even though they might say that, oh, you know, we're against tyranny bad, you're most likely reliant on the government in some way or form. And if you decide not to have an abortion, you think you're fucking entitled to, you know, our tax dollars because, you know, you decided to have a bastard child with Chad or Tyrone.
Well, when you really think about it, the mindset of the feminist, their philosophy, it is completely totalitarian. It really loops back to power. They are the ones who want power, and it's only bad if someone else, let alone their own unborn child, because that's how they seem to view it, is their child having power over them, which is antithetical to their worldview. So they justify abortions as a means of how they think of it, taking their power back.
I mean, honestly, this is why all men should just stop being apologetic about this. Women should become second-class citizens, period. I don't give a shit.
I'm with you there, Art.
Popular to say, or I don't care. You can at me all you want. Okay? I've seen the numbers. 200,000 abortions a day worldwide. That's World War II death toll every year. And it's women killing their children. And when the child is already born, women kill their children 3 times more often than men.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
That's
I don't
a-
Why I
care
say it's the worst crime in human history.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's
It's massacres upon massacres year after year that outweigh every other mass genocide or Holocaust, whatever you want to call it, throughout all of human history. And it's fucking insane
Hitler's
that you have a bunch of women, cheering themselves on in the street for murdering the unborn. And you're like, this is why you shouldn't have fucking rights. This is why you should have no societal levels of power because of the self-destructive bullshit they pull. And it's just
Hitler,
utterly
Stalin.
frustrating.
Sorry. Yeah, Hitler,
But
Stalin, Mao, Pol Pot. They've got nothing on the average women of today.
so
Mhm.
I don't want to hear it anymore about me. What about my feelings? What about my this or that? I don't give a shit. Even if you pull up some statistic, I know this isn't true, but let's pretend it was for a second. You pull up some statistic of 98% of all women in the 1950s had abusive husbands that just routinely beat them. Okay, we know that's not fucking true. Even in the Middle East, that's not true.
My
But let's just
mom loves to say that a lot, and I'm
but,
just like,
but let's just
I
say it
can never
was.
argue with her.
Let's just say it
whenever she
was.
does.
What's
Okay.
worse? Mass genocide, which women are engaging in right now and have for decades. Mass genocide, or your husband's not nice to you. Okay, I know that's watering it down a bit, but what one is worse than the other. And besides, husbands were never that bad. Some of them were, but on a grand scale, no. Whatever feminism was trying to correct, it vastly, massively overcorrected. None of this was ever necessary. And by the way, so Autist and Scurvy, you're both Gen Z. A quarter of your
Yep.
generation was annihilated through abortion.
Yes. Do
I
you
saw
know
that.
how? Do you know how angry that makes me? Those are people that could have been my friends of mine. Maybe my few maybe that could have been my spouse. That could have the potential of who those people could have been. They could have been really damn good people. We're never gonna see the lives that they lived because a bunch of feminist wrenches were like, oh, no, I can't have them, and Chad's gonna be mad at me. Fuck
Oh, Scurvy.
you, feminists.
Another way they like to justify it is they like to make the opposite argument you made. Oh, but that's one less murderer or rapist or heck, not even to go the criminal route. That's one less potential victim that's born into this horrible, cruel world. Never mind that God sent us down here to live mortal lives to begin with.
I think the irony of that is, yeah, it's one less murderer, except it created a murderer, well, several murderers in the entire process of aborting the baby. And I was like, you got the
Yep.
doctor, the nurses, and the mother herself, and the husband or the boyfriend or male figure that agreed with him. It's like, all of you are murderers now. You're all complicit in this, and somehow you're being praised. It's like, I mean, from a personal standpoint, maybe this is TMI. I have 4 kids now. I would have had a 5th kid 13 years ago from a whole different, whole different life, whole different setup, and that kid doesn't exist because of what that woman did.
And
It's
another
like
thing,
there's a person. I have a personal stake in it. It's just like
Mm.
that shit. Abortion needs to end.
and another thing that I think all men need to think about, and I hope you guys never forget this. You need to think about, like, let's say you're with a woman and she could even be your wife. Any woman you sleep with could get pregnant, not tell you, and then get an abortion, and then never tell you. Women have that
Yep.
power. You could have had your children killed without you ever knowing about it. That's
Yep.
why by the
Yep.
day
Which is why
by the day I'm increasingly like you think you think I don't want women to have rights now. Like every day I want them to have rights even less. When I think about this stuff, all the things that they've done and all the things they could do and probably have done. It
Oh,
it
no, I'm with you.
sickens me to my
There's a bunch of
core, and I
shows
don't
about
give
that.
a shit if it makes your feelings all I don't care.
Well, the other sad thing as well is a lot of this power that women give to be able to kill their children, men who participate in, hookup culture and that kind of, and have those lax standards when it comes to sleeping with women, because men, we as potential protectors and providers, that's what we are built to do. That's our function, amongst other things. We give women that power to begin with when we impregnate them. That's the real sad part as well, because it's not just enough that there's so many women who kill their unborn children, but there's apparently, however few there are, few or many, there's enough men willing or witlessly engaging in it to give these women that power to begin with over these over these poor children who otherwise could have lived lives.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know why these feminist wrenches always forget that adoption is a thing. Like there are, and then again, I have a feeling they'd be like, "Well, we don't want I don't want my children to be raised by a bunch of Christians." Well, that's not very. That's not going to be very good if they're raised by Christians. And then it all goes back. It also does all go back to just how retarded these women can be. And just I swear, like as the days pass, I'm just like, why do you have any sort of power at all?
I
Like you
mean,
should have
they're
never
inherently self-destructive. Sorry, go
Yep,
ahead.
they're all you're absolutely correct in saying that they're very self-destructive individuals. And not to mention they also try to do this shit with other women too. So,
Yeah, no matter how much,
I mean,
no matter how
go
much
ahead.
women accuse you of hating women, misogynist, I guarantee you they still hate each other more. There's no one women
That
hate.
is so
There's no
true.
one who hates women more than other women, especially if they're more beautiful, if they have a richer husband or whatever. If you're any sort of competition, they hate you. And if you're not competition, then you're not worthy of even being cared about. They hate each other more than we ever could.
yep.
Well, that kind of goes back to female nature. That's some man. I write way more than I actually put out on Rumble, but like female nature itself is inherently uh, selfish and self-destructive because if you look at how men and women evolved or were created over time, women's natural desire to find the best man and find the removal of any and all responsibilities makes them inherently selfish. So everything they do comes from a place of trying to find comfort and to not have to deal with anything. On the other side of it is men have a natural proclivity for supporting people and defending and being protectors and providers. But if your core motivation is being selfish, finding what's best for you, then everyone else, including women, other women are the enemy because you're in competition with them. And it's just, it goes back to the whole why the fuck should you have power if this is how you do things? If everything in your life is revolving around you instead of what's best for society or the people around you, then you look at all the policies that women universally vote for, which is usually involving abortion and autonomy. Like you see what they do. And this is what motivates them. And because what motivates them is self-destructive, they definitely should not wield any amount of societal power, if that makes sense.
We are
Yeah.
more than just our bodies, you cis het normative scum.
Oh, the stuff I could say
I mean,
about that alone. Like,
uh,
yeah, more than your bodies. Yeah, that's why OnlyFans is so successful. But
Yeah.
even
pretty much.
even before OnlyFans, there was Instagram and shit. Like, no, just take any social media platform. Women will immediately turn it into a look at me platform. Look at me without clothes on. Just
Always.
fuck
That's
off
what
with
happened
this.
with
Yeah, more
Twitch.
than my body. Fuck off.
That's what
Yeah,
happened
I
with
made a post
Twitch.
the other day about that. It's like conservative women do the same shit. They're like, as soon as they hit any adversity, oh, you
Yeah.
look at my legs, my tits. I'm like, aren't you supposed to be a conservative thought leader? Supposed to be sophisticated? Oh, no, no, no. You go back to your natural state of showing off your body for attention. Tommy Lahren, Lauren Southern, all
Yeah,
the other ones.
their nature is their nature. And I don't know if you guys watched my when I talked to Vex when we tried to get a podcast similar to whatever going. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys watched that. It was from a couple months ago. But at one point, Vex was like, "Wait, you don't hate women?" And I said, "No." And I explained, I actually don't hate them because the way they're built, they have to be this way. They couldn't be any other way. And it simply comes down to they're weaker. That's what all of it comes down to. They are weaker. What would you do if you were weaker? You'd be a manipulator too. Like men, we don't have to worry so much about our survival because we're the stronger half. And me
You
me
play
in
to your
particular,
strengths.
like I'm bigger than most men in general. So I'm bigger than most humans alive, So I can't even begin to understand what it would be like to not only be shorter than most people, but also even if I was average height, I would still be weaker than half the population. I can't imagine. But I would be a manipulator, for sure. That's how I would survive. And if you're wired to
That's
be
the
a
same shit my
manipulator,
wife pulls.
if you're wired to be a manipulator, you are inherently a selfish person. You are inherently an immoral person. I hate that they have to be this way. I do hate that, but I don't hate them because in a way they didn't choose it. They still do it. They still behave this way, and I still hate that, but I pity them for the way the way they were born. I still don't want them to have any rights though. Because of that.
And honestly, that whole subject of if we don't have rights, then you're just gonna treat us like slaves. Like we have, we know what life was like in periods before feminism. We know it wasn't this tyrannical hellscape for women. As a matter of fact, women were a lot happier. So don't
Yeah.
They also
like feminazis don't give me that crap of you just want us for our bodies.
Yeah, their
Fuck off with
happiness
that.
they also
has only gone
Well, you're
down.
giving your bodies for free.
Yeah.
Yep.
Their happiness has only
well
gone
they also
down with
don't
feminism. But go ahead.
they also don't realize, or at the very least, they don't seem to be aware that before feminism first even started to rise, women did have an authority of sort, but it was in the home where they could play to their strengths, which their
Exactly.
virtue is not only in giving birth to, but raising children during their early developmental years. Developmental, yeah. So in their young years, the mother is essential for those early years from the womb up until the point where a child learning how the world works around them, and it's there that where the father becomes more necessary.
Yep.
I
I
had
mean, there
something
were
else I was
points in
going to say.
history where the women handled all the funding. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say there was quite a few things I was wanting to say, but I forgot what they were at the moment. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, not only what you were saying about women having power in the home, which they're more designed for. Oh, he's not joining, I guess. Uh, yeah, I mean, women used to handle a lot of the finances because the man was out working like a back-breaking job, and he just didn't have the energy or time to sit there and try to pay all the bills. So he'd come home, hand her the money, and she'd handle it. And it was a team effort to be, prosperous and to make things work. It's just you don't have that nowadays, specifically in modernity, where everyone can work, everyone can pay their own bills, and women got it into their heads that hey, I can do all the things that men could do without having men. I literally saw a post the other day. I reposted it on Twitter of a woman complaining that in modern times they don't need men. Like, okay, men built everything, men maintain everything,
I would
even if
argue
it's easier for you.
women have never needed men more than they do now. But they're also more blind to that
Yeah.
fact than ever before. They are easily more dependent than ever today. They just don't know it. What were you saying?
Yep.
Or were you done?
Oh no, that was about it. Sorry. Yeah, that was about it for that topic. It's just like, well, like you said, we built everything, we maintained everything, and they need us more than ever. Specifically, seeing how much freedom they have to do whatever they want, and they almost universally become degenerate wastes. Specifically with things like OnlyFans and all this access to just easily selling their bodies. Like, of course they're going to jump into those things. Of course they're going to do that. And so they need men more now than ever to say, no, don't do that. That's disgusting. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Which of course any man which I'm sure we'd all agree on. There's like guys like the MGTOW who would say otherwise, but most men generally agree that we don't believe the opposite of that. Oh well, men, we don't need you women. No, we absolutely do. We need each other. But it seems only one side of this dichotomy is convinced that they don't need the other, and
Exactly.
we're all on the fast track of collapse because of it.
Exactly. Like, I don't hear men ever say that we don't need women. Like, we're better in just about every way. We're better than them, but we don't claim that we don't need them. And
I think
we certainly admit that we want them. You never hear women say that at all. That they want men. They want to have a man. Well, okay, sometimes they do, but overwhelmingly, men say that more about women. That we just want a woman in our life, and we need them. We're better than you in every way, but we still want you and need you for things. We're okay with admitting that. What are you
Well,
saying, Scurvy?
who's there to be better for it?
Yeah. What are you saying, Scurvy?
I was gonna say, like, if if a man was living on his own, right? Compared to a woman, the man would definitely have an easier time with with survival and all that. Like, he very much can function without a woman. Like, that's what the MGTOW guys mean when they say men don't need women the same way women need women need men. Um, yeah, we could very much kind of survive with like sorry, I'm kind of stammering on my words here. Basically what I'm getting at here is we don't need women the same way that that women need men for survival. Like, we are perfectly, again, we're stronger, we're smarter, we're faster than women, and that's kind of what allows us to be damn good at survival. So, kind of my point.
Yep, and I could even argue that we've done too good of a job. Like, we've done so much for them, inventing things, protecting them from threats. Like, women have no concept of without men, and also, like, if we weren't motivated by our love for you, we would all still be living in dirt. Africa today still. We would all, like, there would still be virtually no civilization. We would just be a lot closer to other animals. But we were motivated to become civilized, to become organized, to invent things like find cures for diseases, or even discover what disease even is. All of it. We did it for you. I don't know, like, if you've ever met men, but we're pretty easily content. It doesn't take a lot to make us happy. And yet we still did all this stuff across millennia, basically for women. It wasn't for
Mm-hmm.
us. We're easily content.
Well, that's been my whole argument as well.
I mean, part of the problem was
Oh,
when
hi, Okairo. I didn't know you were here.
hi. But part of the problem has been like first wave feminism and onwards, where they've started going, we don't need men for X, Y, or Z, and no man has ever spoken against that.
That's also true. Us guys, we kind of need to be better at calling them out on shit.
Well, I think that kind of goes
Yeah.
back to like the endless generosity of men because we built everything and gave it to them. And it's just like the only thing you have to do is just be there. And they're like, and they obviously take advantage of it because they didn't do any of this and they don't understand what it takes to run this entire system of civilization. So it's like, oh, we don't need you for this. Like, okay, but you're not doing anything to maintain the thing we gave you, which is your entire purpose other than procreation, as cruel, as harsh as that may sound. Like, so you need us for everything still.
Okay, I have a rant about this. Okay, so I make the argument. In fact, I think I even made it today. I was replying to someone. I make this argument all the time, unapologetically. Basically, all women are good for is making babies. But if I were a woman, and I would still have the brain of a woman, so I still wouldn't understand this. But from my perspective, if I were a woman, I wouldn't care that I'm not good for anything else. I would think, okay, yeah, I'll make some babies, and in exchange, I'm protected, I'm provided for, I have all these luxuries that didn't even exist 100 years ago. Cool. I'm only good at one thing. Cool. Why would I want anything else? And yet, it's like the number one thing they complain about. No, they say, like, we're not just our bodies. We can do more than just make babies. Why does that bother you? You already have everything you could want. But it's what they stand on. It's their entire point. It's their entire point of contention. No, we want to be more than this. Why? That's our responsibility. You literally don't have to worry about this. We do. Why do you want to worry about all this other stuff? Makes no sense.
If I had to guess, it was because it's kind of like the thing with participation awards and things like that. As men, we built up society, we got it to the point it was, and then somewhere along the way we decided to let the women run free without, any of the responsibility of having made it.
Without question.
Well, it's really irritating about it.
Basically.
Go ahead.
What's really irritating about it as well is, the things that women only are intrinsically better, they're inherently, I should say, better at a few things as compared to men, as we are built to do most other things. Women can do the one thing no man can. Like, that's just it. The one advantage they have, the one thing that they can generally do. I know someone is probably going to mention certain conditions that would prohibit some to do this, so I'm talking broadly here. The ability to give birth to children, that is something no man can do. That is exclusively a female function. That's something exclusively women can do. And not only give birth, but give the young infants nutrients as well. Infants, babies are dependent on their mothers for the first few weeks, if not months, of nutrients and substance.
Yeah,
I'm
actually offended at the very idea. Like some hardcore lefties try to make the argument that men can breastfeed too. I'm just like, fuck off. I want women to have a monopoly on this. Just shut up. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah, wait. Well, you bring that up, but what a way to, ironically, degrade women. When you really think about it, you're denying them the one thing that they exclusively can do to the benefit of everyone, by insisting that any kind of man can do it to at least some degree as well. And of course, we're seeing as predominantly the issue in reverse, the insistence that women can do all these things that men are built to do. And no one seems to realize men and women are specifically built the way they are to accomplish these different tasks, but they complement each other, right? Everyone benefits from what they can do for each other. But when you start messing with the rules of that, when you start messing with that natural order, well, you turn the world upside down, and now we're spinning on our heads.
Yep.
No, you're absolutely right on that. I mean, when you look at um, the entire purpose of the male and female dichotomy is like, well, procreation and the continuation of the species is the highest calling for literally any species. And when you start taking that most important and I would say, superpower away from women, which is something men literally cannot do, no matter what the trans people are trying to do, is like you're right. They took away the one thing that sets them apart from us. That the one thing that they are protected for, that we've built everything for them, to facilitate. Like if let's say we were all some sort of weird androgynous species where you could just, split in half and now you have a second one of you, why would we need to build any of this? Why would we do any of this? Like, no, no, no. It's literally everything men do is for women and then for the express purpose of helping continue the species from an instinctual level. And they've like feminism and modernity and all this nonsense, specifically like the trans shit, has tried to destroy that one aspect of the female, part of the species that sets them apart. That is the most, I would say, probably the most important part of everything, because everything's built around it.
Let's try to figure out like just where feminism comes from and not bring up the small hats, as tempting as that is. I think.
But that's where it comes from, though. Like no matter what you look at it, it's like that's where it comes from.
But it doesn't persist on its own.
You have to remember we're alive on YouTube. Well, that too.
Pretend, Scurvy. Pretend.
Okay, I could pretend.
Yeah, use your imagination.
It doesn't persist on its own. No matter how it started, it did not continue entirely on its own. Entirely. But I think where feminists get the desire to be feminists comes from hating themselves. I absolutely believe this. They hate that they are weaker than men. Like, I'm actually gonna talk to Vex, and we're gonna stream it. I'm gonna talk to Vex about something that happened to me recently. My roommate hates the fact that I ignore her, and frankly, most of the time I don't even do it on purpose. It's just out of sight, out of mind. Just I barely care that you're there, and it really bothers her, and she causes all kinds of drama about it. And I think of things like that to explain feminism. How women, they know their own weaknesses and they really wish they didn't have them, but they still have them. They wish that they just couldn't care what people think of them, but that's how they've always survived, is caring what people think of them. Everything.
Yeah, I have a.
No, I was pretty much done, but that is my theory. They hate themselves. That's what feminism is. It's not a hatred of men. It's a hatred of women, and they want to replace men. They want to become men, but they need us out of the way to do that. All right, go ahead.
Well, I think there's also that. There's also I'm sure you guys have seen on Twitter, Rachel Wilson wrote a book on that. I haven't gotten it yet, but I definitely plan on reading it just to see what kind of research she did into the topic. But it's not just that women hate themselves, but as we've already established, they also hate other women. Has anyone else seen some of the old propaganda going around about some of the women promoting the different waves of feminism and what they have in common, aside from obviously the small hat influence?
They're ugly.
They're ugly. A lot of them are also old. They're strumpets. They're unmarried. So they're women who did not find success in procuring husbands, which is something you'll also find in common with women who were against feminism and women's suffrage and whatnot. These were women who had husbands and children and had their own power that is actually beneficial to them, that being in the home, in the rearing of their children, which of course feminism has made a great deal in taking away. The other thing I was going to say as well, like Osby, since we'll bring up personal experiences, I'm actually having a similar problem at work. So in every job I've had, due to the necessity of being in the world I'm in, I treat my male and female employees the same. No differently. If you're here to work. I don't care if you're a man or woman. Unfortunately, it seems to be the female coworkers I end up interacting with, they seem to take great offense to this, to the point to one of the higher ups I've had recently, who was a woman, doing really small things that she needs to do in order for me to do my job that she just does not care to do unless she is pressed to do, which cost me money in my work. And I know that could go into all sorts of into discussions about whether or not they should be in the workplace, amongst other things. But I just want to bring that up in the sense that Argyros, because you mentioned she causes all sorts of, your roommate, I mean, has been causing all sorts of drama and issues just because you leave her alone. That's something I've had to recognize as well. Us leaving them alone, like the loudest, most obnoxious of them have asked men to do over the past decade or a couple of decades, it really drives them nuts. It's like it invalidates their existence in some existential level.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, they literally depend on attention constantly. It's not just an internet thing. It's in real life. They need attention. Literally need it. And it drives me up the wall. I'm sure it drives all of you guys up the wall too. Like, we don't need it. In fact, men kind of prefer, unless you're someone I love deeply, I don't want you paying attention to me all the time. And I don't want to pay attention to you all the time. But women need it wherever they can possibly get it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I deal with that at home just for more anecdotal evidence. Like, like last night, I was going to bed early because of this, and I have to be where I'm at right now early. And the wife comes in because I didn't give her enough attention. And she's just all over me. I'm like, woman, I have to go to sleep. And otherwise, like,
I got shit to do.
trying to sleep here. Yeah, and then like what Autist is saying, like, it's not wrong at all. It's attention-seeking behavior. Like, it's what's the term? Wanting to eat your cake and have it too. They want to be left alone, or it's like a woman. She's at that time of the month, right? She doesn't want to be touched, and yet she wants you right there next to her. Like, you can't have it both ways, lady. It doesn't work like that. It utterly frustrates and pisses us off. Oh, go ahead.
No, if you guys want to hear a funny story, or at least I think it's funny, one of my exes, I shit you not, this is why we broke up. We broke up after 2 years, and this is the one that was 16 years older than me. We broke up because she said ahead of time, when her birthday came, that she didn't want to do anything for it. Not a thing, because she realized she's getting older, and she's very self-conscious about that. So, in my stupidity, I actually listened to that.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You guys already know the ending of the story. Her birthday came.
Well, there's so many stories like that.
I didn't pay attention to it. I didn't do anything for it. I didn't bring it up. And then she absolutely threw a fit. And we broke up over it. Broke up.
It's I don't want a Christmas present. Okay, well, I won't give you a Christmas present. No, why didn't you get me a Christmas present? Well, lady, you said you didn't want one. Do you want us to listen to what you say or not? Which, of course, the answer should be no. Yeah. Clearly not.
And they think they can
rule. But I told you not to, but I wanted you to. Like, I'm not a mind reader. I'm not going to follow that. Just tell me what the fuck you want.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, this is how they think. And they think they're our equal. Maybe they don't. Maybe deep down they know they're not. But they say it anyway. I don't know. I'm not a woman. So, did we cover it? Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. We managed to stay pretty on point today. I mean, given the title of the live stream. I mean, since Okairo's here, I'm still interested in that discussion between you and Scurvy. If you guys are still up for that. Just to get into the more specific minutia as to whether or not pornography should be legal or not. And then, of course, I don't think, we didn't really have to say a whole lot about abortion, really. I think we're all pretty much on agreement on that, as little as needed to be said on the matter.
I mean, if Scurvy's up for it, so am I.
Just give me like a few minutes and I'll be ready. Probably like 2.
And what was it again?
Do we play some? Go ahead.
What was the? What were they going to exchange about again? Exactly.
Whether or not pornography should itself be legal or not. The legality of whether or not it should be. I don't want to misrepresent either of you guys, so it's not necessarily whether it should be
Yep.
criminalized, as more so it should be just illegal. Necessarily.
Yes.
If I'm misrepresenting either point, let me know.
I could get it. I could get into it. I'm ready. Like I said earlier, and like I keep saying consistently, it's like I think there's too many downsides of it being legalized. Like because it's legal in the first place, we have to have more laws and more bullshit around something that just shouldn't be there in the first place. Like the evidence is pretty clear. It degrades societies. It's quite literally destroying our brains. And then also not to mention the fact that kids as young as what's the number, like 11 or 12, that are starting to watch this stuff at that age, and that impacts them and their development. And I find that to be rather I find that whole thing to be rather, pornography to be rather abominable, for just because of how corrosive and just evil it is. And it is evil by every possible stretch, like on the viewer, on the on the producers, and on the stars. And not to mention, like, a lot of the stuff about how people are basically using sites like Pornhub to basically get away with human trafficking schemes. And because Pornhub doesn't even have the gall to try to verify the people in the videos, I remember they released like a little statement, just a PR statement, and they still can't be bothered to add in proper verification. So for the sake of just everything, for society's sake, it has to go. Like, we've tried having it legalized. We see the effect of it. It just doesn't fucking work. So the best thing is just burn it all down.
And Okairo, you disagree?
To an extent, while Scurvy's point is all correct, the point of, okay, if you ban it or make it illegal, you lose all control over it. Granted, at the moment, in a democracy world, there's barely any control over it because everyone's afraid to touch it or interfere with it for whatever reason. I'm gonna guess it has to do with majority of people who own the productions and such. But but even when you ban it, yes, you'll lose control over it. It's still going to happen. It'll just move to the black market, and then you can't enforce any laws. You can't put any protections in place. You can't put any regulations in place, making it legal and then extremely restricting and regulating it can at least lessen the harm done. And let's say whatever money is gathered from it, you can put into things where, kind of like moral education of, moral education, and then let's say like job classes of, hey, why don't you do this kind of job before you go to the bottom of the barrel kind of job? Basically kind of put prostitution, pornography, everything like that back at the bottom of the barrel, where if you work it, you know what, fine, it's legal, but you live a life of shame. We, it's kind of it's there, but we should shame it and never promote it.
But the thing is, when it comes to, I guess even when it comes to something like that, it's like, oh man, I don't know why I blanked out again, but let me think. I definitely have a rebuttal. I just have to I just have to think a little bit.
Something about controlling it if it were legal.
Yes. Thanks for, thank you, Arch. The thing is, we are, like, in a way, we already are kind of, we're trying that. And I also don't think it's working, because the kind of government that need, for something like that to happen, that requires a moral government. And our government, the way that it is I would not describe it as moral or competent to even enforce just like a shame, like a thing of just shaming it, having it legal, but just having it be shamed. It's like, I don't trust, and it's the same thing as to how I don't trust this government to just outright burn the porn industry, but still having it be legal. It's just like it still creates so many, like, I get, like, moral trappings, and it's like, and then also just all the legalese that's associated with it as well, compared to just having a hardline no stance about it. So that's something else too. It's like, I also see how it's like, I'd also compare it to, I mean, I try not to compare it to stuff like like the legalizing pot, but if there were like like something similar, I probably would say it would be like the legalization of pot almost, where it's like it clearly is having an impact on society. Not a good one either, because our cities just fucking reek. And also just like everybody's becoming so fucking stupid because coming from somebody who has abused pot before, it's like you are gonna, that does affect your intelligence, absolutely. And again,
It's
all the research about it kind of proves that.
it's never I would say it's never good enough to just simply ban something.
You have to excise it.
Basically ban it in other ways too, like make it stigmatized as one example. You don't have like all the infrastructure it could possibly ever want and then ban it. That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get rid of everything that would support it if it were banned.
Yes, and I fully agree with that too. That's why I also add, whenever I say it should be burned to the ground, like make the distribution and production of it outlawed.
Okay, Scurvy, you're right on all that, but my argument is in the viewpoint of a monarchy, not a democracy. I wouldn't trust the government right now for doing squat.
I see. I guess in terms of a monarchy, I'd say it would actually go even harder if they, like, especially a Christian monarchy. That would probably be the most like the kind of monarchy that would really clamp down on it the hardest. That's just what that's what I think, at least.
I mean, probably, but I also look at it kind of the way of what they did in ancient China, where prostitution was legal to an extent, but a lot of the brothels, it wasn't just sex. A lot of the girls learned philosophy, music, all that kind of thing. So most of the men who went there kind of went there for companionship, not, a tussle in the bed.
Yeah,
I see.
would. I'm not saying.
I still don't think that's right, though. But
Yeah, I'm not.
I get where you're
not.
coming from.
With what I'm about to say, I'm not saying that I'm pro prostitution ever, but if I were, it would be how China used to do it, because like those women were sophisticated. They weren't just brain dead whores. Like they had class to them. Like if you're going to do it right.
Yeah, a lot of them
Yep.
had a lot of them had influence because they'd have generals visit them, ministers.
I think they were called courtesans, more or less.
Courtesans or escorts. It kind of varies between them. But yeah, okay. I think even the most famous ones were the ones who never engaged in sexual intercourse. But they were very good at everything else.
I see.
So it's kind of a matter of, I guess, how you view it. I guess if you say, I think China used to termed their brothels flower houses, which I guess it kind of has a lot of different meanings to it, but.
And I do know that even if my ideal form of governance were to be achieved, it's like I don't deny that it would have, no doubt, there is such a thing as if there's a will, there's a way. But I also do know that I also do know that at least there would the government would at least try to enforce something, so that way it at least is telling its citizenry that it is going to be an ever continuing problem, but it's like at least if sorry, I'm starting to lose my train of thought here. At least I know that if I were under that kind of government, that it's like at least I know that there's a good chance that I won't have to be worrying about it, because I could actually trust that the government would do all that it can to deal with it if it does pop up.
I mean, again, using like the ancient Chinese way of doing it, it kind of had like a tier system. There were like low-level brothels where it was primarily just sexual intercourse, and those were treated with shame, looked down upon. Kind of a, I guess in gaming it would be kind of a get good, you scrub. But for the higher tier ones, in a way they were looked down upon, but I guess kind of like in a private way. But a lot of the times, if they had skills and everything, and they never engaged in sexual intercourse, they were viewed highly. And usually, like the imperial family and the empire would have ways to ensure things worked as they wanted it to. Usually at the tip of a sword.
I see.
I think in general, what we need to try to do as a society, it's not just simply monarchy, but monarchy would certainly help more than anything else. But like so we all believe in hierarchy, right? And it's more than just like taking orders or giving orders. Hierarchy is also giving people something to aspire to. And one of the natural byproducts of giving everyone something to aspire to is degeneracy is a lot less appealing. And this is one of the things I meant by you can't just ban something, you have to also get rid of everything that would support it. When you live in a egalitarian society, no one really has anything to aspire to except their own happiness. maximizing their own happiness instead of like trying to be as close as you can to a famous warrior or even the king himself. You'll never be the king, but be great like the king, to be worthy to even be in the presence of the king. Hierarchy gives people something to aspire to, and as a result, that lessens degeneracy across the board.
No, agreed.
Yep.
I mean, I would look at it from the perspective of both sides. Like, I agree with both. I think from a moral and just absolute law, absolute justice perspective, you would want to outlaw, porn and anything related to it. But on a realistic side of things, you're never really going to get rid of anything or rid of all of it. But I think, like Arch is saying, if we stigmatize it and make it into this horrible thing that makes you into the lowliest of low, again, how it used to be or how it should be, then I think that would be a way forward, because you're never going to get rid of it. At the same time, if you can make it so that people, specifically women in this case, look at being involved in that industry as just dishonorable, disgusting, and degenerate again, then it's like, hey, you'll keep more people out of it, because it'll never be gone. But like, the hierarchy thing needs to be there, and stigmatizing bad needs to be there to kind of correct this entire runaway train of degenerate nonsense. At least that's my take on it.
Women especially need like those strict moral boundaries, because I mean, look at what's happening now, where basically almost nothing is taboo, and women are getting away with just way too much shit that they shouldn't be. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could get into, and I have on my own stream, but I probably won't here because it gets disgusting very, very fast. And again, like all of this is just all this feminism nonsense. It's just meant to tear down societies. It's not. Nothing ever good comes out of giving women the ability to do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want to. All that happens
Or
is
even
just
men.
yeah, men too. I was gonna say I was also gonna say that, but trying to keep on topic here. It's like, but women especially really can't be doing whatever the fuck they want to. Like, it's not in their nature to. Like, for us guys, at least when we're in the when we're in like nature and we have to deal with like what that has to deal with. For us, we largely have to think about like survival. A woman, that might be a little overwhelming. Just kind of in her nature, like, you know. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it made sense. Yeah, at the end of the day, we want a system where everyone is held to a high standard, because with egalitarianism, it's a race to the bottom.
Always.
No matter how you go about it, and this is why I say the founding fathers were morons. No matter how you go about it, if you have any system that is, we want equal, insert whatever, it's going to be a race to the bottom. You want freedom for everyone.
Well, that's the
it's
thing
going
with
to be a race to the
equality.
bottom.
It's impossible.
Yeah, that's why. It's impossible.
And like you're saying about the founding fathers being idiots, like, yeah, like if you look into what they actually did, not to kind of go off topic, but what they actually did to get the colonies to revolt, it was self-serving bullshit. They were not happy with basically being ruled, at least on their part, from afar. And obviously, it was actually the Parliament that did everything, not George, because he literally had he was basically pointless. But yeah, like the founding fathers revolted. It's just no American really understands that. They hold true to the myth that the founding fathers are heroes. And like, no, they caused this problem. At least from my take on that. Not to get off subject.
Yeah, that's why I say George Washington was the worst president, because he's the one who refused the crown. No matter how bad FDR or LBJ were, or fucking Wilson, none of them refused the crown. Not saying that they would have been great kings, but they didn't start the mess. George Washington did. He had the option. This is not like our own little headcanon. Like, this literally happened. They offered it to him, and he turned it down.
Yep.
If they truly understood history as much as conservatives claim they understood history, then he would have accepted the crown. That there is no such thing as this nation will remain amazing and moral and whatever because we're just that awesome and we have pieces of paper to make sure it always stays this way. If they understood anything about human nature or history, they would have never thought that. So that's why I say they were morons. Not just mistaken, they were morons. They actually believed pieces of paper can make your society awesome and totally override human nature forever.
Man,
So,
the fact
about that.
Oh, sorry. I'll let you speak first, Autist.
Thank you. So the funny thing about that, has anyone else ever heard the story of what happened after they were putting together the Constitution when I believe it was Benjamin Franklin when he was walking out and he was asked by a lady, you know, what kind of government do they have? And his response was a republic if you can keep it. Assuming I have all the details right, like whether it was Benjamin Franklin or one of the other founding
It was
fathers.
Franklin, yeah.
It was Franklin, thank you. It seems to me that even they weren't sure that it was going to work, that they were gambling solely on the idea that they could, or at the very least, the future of what is the United States could have the capacity to adhere to the foundation that they laid down. Which, in my opinion, I don't believe. As much as they probably thought they were doing good. Sorry, I need to say it. How do I put this? So an interesting thing about the sect of Christianity, which I'm a part of, the official stance of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints regarding the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and so forth, is the official stance is these were divinely inspired documents, which doesn't make sense if you think that they were divinely inspired to create a functioning, long-lasting form of governance. It does make sense, however, if you look at it as we were given a chance through this republic to choose whether or not we can actually take this thing and make it work, even though we've seen how much of a failure that is. Unless, you know, God being who he is, he knew that we would fail, and it is through this process of continually screwing up that we would hopefully, eventually, however, as many of us are starting to do, by the way, with the wake of many guys our Scurvy, you and me, guys in our generation are turning to Christianity. It's why I have it in my bio. The United States and its republic were meant to fall, because I wholeheartedly believe the only reason that our government being structured the way it is, and the idea of there being any divine inspiration behind it, is if we were intentionally set up to fail from the get-go. That's the only thing to me that makes sense as far as whether or not there was any divine hand behind the founding of the United States.
Well, I mean, we've never had a king, so we've
Oh,
never had a system that works. So yeah, in a way, we kind of were always.
I got something.
Go ahead.
I got something to say. Did you know that the majority of the founding fathers were Freemasons?
Yep.
That tells me that yeah, to I guess answer your question, I don't think there really was any divine inspiration when it came to founding this nation.
Well, I mean, we could have a whole nother discussion on the Freemasons, since that's itself a pretty possibly lengthy topic. I probably as we look into the history of that, but excuse me. Yeah, no, that would definitely be something to discuss, I think, another time.
1 second.
I mean, that could be the topic of another podcast. Oh, I also just got to let you all know I got about maybe 5 more minutes before I got to head out. So just
Oh,
save y'all
I
the traffic.
I think we've covered everything for the most part. So I think this is a good place to call it good and arrange for the next meeting. Unless there was
Well, there's
anything else.
there's always a few things. There's always a few things I'm sure we've probably missed, but as always, if that turns out to be the case, and if anything we missed ends up being important later, we could always bring it up then. But yeah, Scurvy, I definitely want to. It doesn't have to be the next podcast, maybe the next few, but I do think at some point we should discuss the Freemasons.
Well, we
That would definitely
really
be for a
should.
good podcast. I think that'd be for a good podcast episode.
That it would be. I do have to get going now too, guys. But this is good. This is really good.
Yep. So yeah, let's call it good here. Say goodbye to everyone, and then figure out what we'll do next.
Bye, chat.
Thanks, audience.
Yep, see everyone.
This is